I'm Tiffany, and I'm with Kelly Olive, and we're with Lexi. And Kelly is the leader I'm interviewing for the class, but she also has a mentee and a young leader that she works with also, and they work together. So we're going to go ahead and let Kelly and Lexi discuss through Kelly's perceptions of the connection between leading and learning, how their relationship works and how this works here at Common Ground.
Yes. The first thing I would say, we were talking a little while ago about what would be the one thing if I had 60 seconds to sit down with Lexi or someone like Lexi, and then I may never see her again, and what could I say about business or leadership? And it would be this: don't wait till you have it all figured out. That doesn't mean you jump blindly or jump recklessly, but you don't have to figure it all out, know how it's all going to pan out to take a step. Mm-hmm. Take a step and continue to learn as you go, because if you wait, you'll never move.
Right. Just trusting the process.
Yes.
And knowing that there's always a process. There's always things that you learn in the middle of even if it's messy, and just learning
it usually is.
Yes. Yeah. So you never know until you try, and you can't take things out or add things that may work better if you are not trusting the process.
That's good. So true.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And okay, so there is interplay, and there's two ways to learning and leadership. And now I'd like to learn a little bit about how Lexi inspires you, and if you have something even specific or general that she's inspired you to maybe add to your leadership, and you could frame that for us.
Yeah, something in business and nonprofit leadership is so important is order and systems and those kind of things, and Lexi has really inspired me to be more orderly. When you kind of do a lot your own, very often you're like, oh well, I know where that is, and I know where that, well, she's inspired me to really to expand. Like, I knew I needed to expand to Lexi, but she's helped me to expand to where everybody knows what to expect and how things work and those kind of things.
So what are your ideas in this expansion, or do you have other ideas that you would like to share?
I think a lot of it is just communication, and the systems go hand in hand with the communication.
Yes.
And
so important.
Yeah, when Kelly or I or anybody is creating a system or organization, it's important to have it communicated on like our whole team.
Yes.
So that way we can all do it in unity and working together. And Kelly has really inspired me to do that, and to just stay in communication with every part of our team member or team members.
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, just communication and system go hand in hand.
Beautiful.
And I think, if you don't mind, just growing together in that is amazing. Not expecting that I have it all together, not expecting she has it all together, but us growing together in that is amazing.
Right. For me, you've just described power. You've described power source and sourcing power.
And another thing she inspires in is new things, because it's easy when you do something a certain way for a while to not. I mean, I feel like I'm always open to new things, but I'm not always willing to take the time to bother with them. And so that's helped inspire me to be like, oh, we could do this, or we could do that, or we could do, that kind of thing.
What kinds of communication tools do you use? Are you using social media? Do you use Twitter? Are you using Zoom?
I think like the main thing right now that we're doing really well is just having meetings weekly with all of our different team, whether that's for our Common Ground nonprofit or for the church, and we meet in person. And if we can't, we make sure that there's phone calls. We make sure
group texts,
group me, always using group me, group chats, and whatever way. If someone's out of town, we do have our Zoom. We always have that as an option.
Yeah.
And then communicating with our internal team, that will be our primary thing in person and like Zoom. But for communicating externally to people that we want to come in. Social media is really great and super important. Email lists. Just
So
people
many
are using
avenues, yeah.
so many different channels,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of options.
Kelly, did you describe the Tuesday Community Development Group, or is that
No,
falls
no.
like the purview of?
One of the things that we do with our nonprofit is every Tuesday morning at our location, we have a CG Business Connection Group where local business leaders come together and they can network together. We learn, we usually have a topic that we discuss and help each other to grow in our business. And so it's a really neat thing to do.
Yeah, another in-person meeting. The synergy really comes with in-person meetings.
My name is Tiffany Kennedy. I'm here with Bill Schwartz of Hope for Europe, and I've selected him as one of my 3 leaders to interview for my class in 6100 Leadership Theory and Practice. So I'd like to introduce Bill Schwartz and
Thank you.
let him describe what he does and how I came to meet him.
I'm actually served as a missionary, that would be the American term, in Europe. However, Europe, I'm the leader of our church network, as well as the ministries that we work with there. And so we're there for a specific reason, and that's to advance our mission. We believe that the church brings a lot of answers to cultural issues. And so we just believe that when life-giving churches are planted, when leaders are developed that for the purpose of planting life-giving churches, that we become an answer to society's issues, from bringing hope to natural felt needs that need to be there. And we also believe it's just a great way to create community in places that need hope. So.
And you spend a great deal of your time, you have campuses that you train future leaders, young leaders?
Well, we have a network of churches that are officially in our network, which means that we officially work together and we have accountability to one another. Out of that, I pastor 2 of the campuses. So if we have a mother church, we have another campus. We have a new campus that is on the German region of Belgium. However, we do have church planters there, and so we will be adopting that as one of our campuses as they're phasing out, they're retiring, those church planters are. So in addition to that, we have a relational network around Europe that we work with that are not necessarily in our network, but we have a relational connection. And so we also have a team called Lead Team, that we have people that attend our mentoring from multiple different countries. Even some in the US participate in that as well.
What are your perceptions on the connection between leadership and learning?
Well, I think when a leader stops learning, they end up capping their influence. And I think that influencers, if they don't have a desire and a hunger to learn, and a desire to hunger to grow, I think is probably even a better word, to grow as a leader. Yeah, that they're going to cap their not only their influence but their ability to lead. And I think that personally, I have a regimen that I keep in my own life to continue learning and growing. That is a mixture of having personal mentors that I meet with. It's a mixture of topics that I might be interested in to learning either by. I have to be honest, I'm not a big reader. Because I like audiobooks, and part of that's my schedule. When I'm traveling, audiobooks. I eat up podcasts like they're candy, And so there's been some distant mentors that I've never even met in person, but because of the books they've wrote and the podcasts that they have been a big part of my mentoring, in my life as well. Yeah. So I think every leader to grow has a relational connection, an educational connection, as well as outside influences that help them. So for me, it's always about improving. When we deal with problems and mistakes, and in my world, when it comes to ministry and church life in general, often when things are going bad, the leader wants to blame the people. That's not my starting point. My starting point is, what have I done wrong? It's self-evaluation first, and so that helps me to see my weaknesses where I need to develop and train. So I just believe that learning and growing is a key to any leader.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have this question.
Okay.
So I want you to imagine that you're sitting across the table from a 20-something-year-old young leader.
Like myself.
You have got 60 seconds, and you are likely not to see this person again. what would you say to that person coming out of your experiences?
I would say, do what you were built to do. Don't pursue the fame, don't pursue even the financial security, pursue what you were built to do. I think that everybody has been created to make a difference. I think everybody's an answer to a problem. And when you tap into that becomes...
What is impressed upon you that you are learning from your followers or your mentees or those church planters that you're training, or your discipleship, the disciples that you're training? What have you learned from them that you're thinking of changing or preparing something for in the future? So have they given you any visions, any epiphanies, any type of downloads, or change of priorities?
Well, I think that people, and just let me say, I want to balance this. There's people that we mentor, but it's honestly never anybody that we pursue. And I think that's an important part, because it's always the mentee that determines the level of influence they allow the mentor to have. And so, if they're not pursuing growth, if they're not pursuing learning and everything else, then I'm not going to invest a lot of time in that, right? Because, I want to invest in people that are ready to go. So here's the thing that I see with young people. We need more fathers. We need more people who are going to make that investment when people are pursuing. That means it has to be very intentional. I always say that there's 3 keys to success. There's to be intentional, to be systematic, and be consistent. So there has to be a reason why you do what you do, to be intentional. You have to know why you're doing it. You have to make a plan to do it. It has to be systematic, where it fits your schedule and there's a way that you're doing it. And you have to be consistent, and all 3 are necessary. And so when people are coming to us and they're hungry, then I know that we've got to make the adjustment in that area. I'm going to have to be intentional. I'm going to have to put it in my schedule, and we're going to have to be consistent with it if we're going to see long-term fruit. And I'm always evaluating where people are at, because I realize I don't always have the answers. So there's often that guys I will push to other people to get the skills and things that they need. And I think it's, a lot of leaders aren't going to do that because they're not secure with that. They want to be the answer to it all. I see myself as more as the connector, right? Connecting people to the places. Every leader, their desire should be to make other people successful, right? The old paradigm of leadership is, well, I need this person to make my vision successful. That's not where I'm at. My vision is to help other people become a success, to be the best them that they could be.
I want to thank you for that.
I think that the principles of church planting can apply to almost any other thing. Especially when you realize, church planting is not about us. It's about God, first of all, and obviously that's why we do it. But it's about God, people meeting God. It's about people meeting people where they are and giving hope and a future and all of that. And I think to be successful in church planting, one of the things that I'm helping an organization right now in Europe. It's not an American organization that went there or trying to establish. It's a European birthed organization, and they've come and said, "Can you help us develop a church planting strategy?" And we do a lot of training for church planting, but training's not enough, right? So the first thing I told them was we need to first develop mentors for the church planters. So we're not starting with the church planters, we're starting with developing mentors for them, because nothing is successful without another leader leading you. And a mentor is basically someone who's been where you're wanting to go and they're willing to help you get there. And that's my basic definition of a mentor. They've been where you want to go and they're willing to help you get there. And so I just think the principles of church planting, even what you're doing, if there's somebody that's done something similar to what you're doing, been where you're at, ask them to be your mentor, help me through this, coach me through this. And I think that that's the key to leadership. Leadership always produces other leaders, right? And we don't keep what we've learned for ourselves. We share it with other people.